Good afternoon to you. Today we will continue with the Constitution. Now we are taking Judiciary Part 3. In the last class, we have seen the qualifications, appointment, and removal of judges of Supreme Court. Today we will see the jurisdiction and powers of the Supreme Court. I have already told you that Supreme Court of India is in fact more powerful than even the Supreme Court of USA, because our Supreme Court enjoys certain powers which no other court in the world enjoys. For example, special leave petition under Article 136 and advisory jurisdiction under Article 143. These are all the powers which other courts in the world do not enjoy. That is why our Supreme Court is unique in the discharge of justice. Now, what are the powers and jurisdiction of the Supreme Court? There are many, but we will see from the examination point of view, very important topic. In the examination, the UPSC is choosing such questions which are very relevant and which a student is expected to know. I give an example. Now the Kerala government has filed a writ petition in the Supreme Court invoking Article 131, the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, against CAA, that is the Citizenship Act 2020. So naturally, this is important. Why? This has come in the current affairs. The question can be, which state government has filed a petition in the Supreme Court recently? They will give you Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, etc. Kerala is the first state against which it has filed a petition in the court under original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court with regard to CAA, that is Citizenship Amendment Act 2020. So, two questions are heard. And no other state has filed such a petition. This is with regard to the original jurisdiction. Why original jurisdiction? Under Article 131. So 131 we are reading today. Similarly, when the question is today, Supreme Court has called for under Article 139A of the Constitution, it has allowed transfer of the petitions with regard to EWS Act, that is 103rd Amendment Act. All the petitions pending in the High Court are to be transferred to the Supreme Court by invoking Article 139A. So that means that point is very important. The question, it's a potential question. Article 139A deals with. So this is one more question. Similarly, Galwan Valley, we will read very elaborately Galwan Valley. But you should know what are the other valleys which is bordering other countries. What are the other valleys? Last time it was Doklam, and Doklam nearest valley. What is the nearest valley? And what are the other valleys where we are bordering other countries? That we should know. So you should go beyond the news item, so that you will be able to answer all the questions. That is the point you should remember. Now coming back to the powers and jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, first is original jurisdiction, which I told you just now. We will elaborate. Article 131. Second comes the writ jurisdiction, that is Article 32, which is also original but not exclusive. Remember, there is a difference. Writ jurisdiction is also original, but it is not exclusive. It is not the exclusive jurisdiction. Why? Because High Court also exercises the powers under Article 226. It is also original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, but not exclusive, because High Court under Article 226 exercises the same powers. So, second point. Thirdly, appellate jurisdiction. Article 132 to Article 134. Then special leave petition, very important, Article 136. Then comes review jurisdiction, Article 137. Then comes Article, just now I told you 139A, that is transfer of applications. Then comes advisory jurisdiction under Article 143, which no other court in the world enjoys these powers. And court of record, Article 129. And plenary powers under Article 142. Plenary powers under Article 142 is very important. So these are all the powers which are enjoyed by the Supreme Court. We will see one by one. First, we will see what is original jurisdiction. In a federal setup, Supreme Court will always have the exclusive jurisdiction to decide the dispute between the union and the state. Why? It is a written constitution. So because it is a written constitution, there is always a possibility of misinterpretation or interpretation of the provisions of the constitution. So there will be natural. See, the human being is not perfect, and any system which is created by a human being cannot be free from imperfection. Naturally, there is possibility of any dispute in interpreting the provisions of the Constitution, which I have already told you in the first class on judiciary. So, who will solve this? There is a Supreme Court for impartial interpretation of the Constitution. Now, this is that is to settle the dispute between the Government of India and one or more states. Number one, Government of India plus one or more states on the one side and other states on the other side. Third, the Government of India is not involved in the third item. It is the dispute among the states inter se. Kindly remember three distinct matters. Number one, Government of India and the other states. This is one. Number two, Government of India plus some states on the other one side and other states on the other side. Third, among the states inter se, any dispute among the states. So these are all the three segments on which the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court extends. With regard to this point, you should note 2 points very important. One is the dispute must involve a question of fact or question of law on which the existence or extent of legal right depends. In other words, the question of political nature will not be entertained. Question of political nature will not be entertained. Most important. This is the point you should remember. Secondly, similarly, any suit brought by a private citizen against the center or state cannot be entertained. So, private citizens' protection of the rights of the private citizens are dealt with under Article 32 of the Constitution, and the 131 is not involved. So, that is ruled out. The other one is it should involve a question of fact or question of law. What do you mean by question of law and question of fact? Question of law is interpretation of the provisions of the law. Now, I will give an example. Let us say the anti-defection law, whether it applies to an MP who has taken oath, or immediately when he is declared elected, it will start applying to him also. This is the question. In other words, whether the provisions of anti-defection law will apply only after taking oath or immediately after declaration of his election, which is the correct. So remember, this is the what is called very vague area in the anti-defection law. So this interpretation falls within the jurisdiction of question of law. Who will decide? The judges will decide. So this is the question of law. What is question of fact? Suppose let us say you have been booked under traffic rules for crossing the zebra line. Now the question, you say no, I have not crossed. I was within the area only, I have not crossed. So this is a question of fact, which will be proved by witnesses and evidences. So this is the difference between question of law and question of fact. So the question of law is to be decided by the judges, question of fact is to be decided by the defending lawyers. Secondly, the 7th Amendment Act, remember, under Article 131 of the Constitution, the 7th Amendment Act 1956 has added a proviso to Article 131, excluding the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court with reference to certain things. It has excluded. In other words, 131, Article 131 will not apply in certain cases. What are the cases? Number one, any dispute out of any pre-constitutional treaty or agreement. Number one. Number two, any dispute arising out of any treaty or agreement which specifically provides that the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court does not extend to such a dispute. Number two. Number three, interstate water disputes. Number three, matters referred to Finance Commission. Number four, adjustment of expenses between center and the states. Number five, dispute of commercial nature between the center and the states. Number six. Number seven, recovery of damages by the state against the center. So, this proviso to Article 131 is important. Remember, in a different context. What is that different context? I will explain you later when we take up the advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court under Article 143. When we discuss Article 143, this proviso is very relevant. That we will see in the next class. Thank you.